This podcast is sponsored by NaturalBossNH.com, SlowdownClothing.BigCartel.com, and New Hampshire Vape Gallery. More on that later. Let's get into the bonus episode of Talking with Topher 420. What is happening, TwT fans? It is the bonus 420 episode, and as you can see, I am also enjoying my 420 along with you today. As always, I want to thank everybody for subscribing, watching, and sharing, commenting, all of that. I greatly appreciate it, and I want to say to all the new subscribers, thank you again. And to anybody that's new to the show, remember to subscribe, hit those like buttons, and set those alarms so that you know as soon as the new episodes are uploaded. TALKIN with Topher at gmail.com. You or someone you know has a story that needs to be heard, you can send it on over there. Anytime you want to just get a conversation started, just email me at TALKIN with Topher at gmail.com. And then, of course, you can always follow me on social media. That's Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook. Again, that's Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. Go to social media, hit that follow button. I've always got stuff updating, and it's a great way for you to get some new content. And now that we've gotten through all of that real quick, because I figured I'd do something fun, plus me and Tyler had a conversation, and I was super high on Delta 8, and then we got high together when I got home from work and decided to sit down and have a conversation over the mics. So you can follow him on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter's handle is at Tyler_Crain. Instagram is GridLinkMusic on Instagram. So I'll have all that at the bottom of the screen. You'll be able to see that. I said on my last podcast, episode 52 to be precise, that I was on some Delta 8. And I'm pretty sure from what you will see in the podcast, you will be able to see how that Delta 8 affected me. But I figured it would be a great start to the day. I'm going to smoke a joint with you guys. And stay tuned for after, because I've got another way for me to join you on this 420. And now, without further ado, my friend Tyler Crain. Oh man, that's all I was thinking about. Yeah, so problems with the Mini Coupe?
Yeah, it's small problems. At the end of the day, it all worked out. But yeah, it's like the day after I get a car and there's a coolant leak. But it all worked out. It's a great car. It's better than the Volvo.
Oh, of course it is.
And a shout out to a site called Pebble.
Pebble.
And you just go on, you fill out all your information, you fill out the information of the car. They show up and take your car and give you a check. So I got $360. I didn't have to go through the hassle of private sales.
Well, a trade-in probably would have given you the same. So
Probably same.
So
it worked out. Just make sure the tow truck driver shows. So it's weird. It's like you have Pebble where you fill out all your information. Then you have like a salvage yard or someone that buys it. But then you also have the tow truck driver and company that comes and picks it up.
All right.
So you're dealing with three different entities. And I'm not going to name names, but the tow company that showed up, they forgot to sign the check. So they handed me the check, and they're getting the Volvo up on the lift. And I'm looking at the check, and I'm like, this don't look right. I'm like there needs. I make sure I'm not going crazy. I go around my mom. I'm like, there needs to be a signature here, right? Like I can't cash this. And so I ran out, and the guy's like, "Oh, we got to sign the check. We forgot." I'm like, "Okay."
Oh my God, that's so funny.
So do your due diligence if you
what
go
happens
through that.
if they don't sign the check? It's a null and void check, right?
I mean, well, yeah. So
I can't do anything with it.
So I mean, I just went to Citizens and cashed it because I don't have a. And the check kind of sketched me out. I wanted to cash it. I didn't want to deposit it. I didn't want to risk a bounce check. I was just the whole situation at that point was really weird, because they were nice, but it was a little strange. I was like, what? Why? Who forgets to sign a check? Like, so if that were to have happened, I would have had to, contact whoever was on that check, the company, and I'd have to go to them, and I'd have to do all that craziness. And I was like, no, I want the check and I want the cash today. So I wanted it all in one day. It was my day off, so I'm like, you know what? We're just gonna get rid of this thing and get paid for it all in one day. So it was interesting though. So yeah, and I'm like, they would have just been like, yeah, this check needs a signature and we can't cash it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah.
That's all they would have said. But if I put it through like a bank, like if I did the phone scan your check thing and I sent it to St. Mary's and it ended up, bouncing, I get hit with a fee. And then to challenge it, I have to go to small claims court. And I am not in the mood to do that.
With no signature on the check.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Like, or for whatever reason, like if a check bounces, it's a painful process. If you care to, like, I think one time, like, a family member of mine, like, signed me a check and it bounced, and I was just like, it wasn't really a concern to me.
Huh.
But like, if you want to get it back, apparently it's just this whole process. And I already had enough of dealing with my bank with getting a loan for a private sale. It is the worst experience, worst car buying experience.
I would never want to sell my car or do a private sale after listening to you.
Awful, especially with COVID. Maybe it was easier with COVID, but like, because in an ideal world, you'd get the buyer, the seller, and the bank. You get all three of you in one room. You got the title, you got the bills of sale, you sign everything there. The bank does theirs. Everyone does everything in one room. But with COVID, it's like, it's a pain, and then you got people working from home, and that can be a whole stressful thing depending on your home setting. And yeah, it was a mess. But
I definitely appreciate like buying a car at a dealership and having them do all that
for you. All that for you. Yeah. At the end of the day, like, it's only a lot because I think about it and it's like, it really wasn't that much, but it felt like a lot because I had to work it in to my normal routine.
Okay.
I have set times where I do stuff. I'm pretty structured. And when you throw in all this stuff, ahead of time, and you try to mix it in with your daily routine, it just gets...
Right, so maybe that's part of the payment that you pay at the dealership because they're doing all this shit.
They're doing all
this for
you,
and you don't have to think about it.
Well, I think back to when I bought my Subaru and I just signed a bunch of papers. They gave me a bunch of stuff. They're like, bring this, bring that, and there you go.
10 minutes. 3 hours and 10 minutes later, you have a car.
Yeah, and then this time I'm digging through like FAQs on government websites about what's needed for like what documents are needed and everything, and it's just, it was not fun.
I have to say, every time I go to buy a car, I'm like, all right, I'm going to need at least 3 hours if we're going to do this. 4 hours sometimes if you're like going to sign the papers and if they're busy. But I'm like, every time I go to the dealership, it's 3 hours. It's so ridiculous. But in the end, I guess it's better than having to do all that legwork.
It's better.
Yourself.
Honestly, like the thing is, the car was such a good deal, and like it's a good fit for me right now. So it was like the pain was the pain of the process was outweighed by what I get from the car.
Yeah, that's cool.
and how the payments worked out and everything, and so it was just too good to pass up. It was right there, and I'm just like, whatever. I've always wanted a Mini. So, it's a cool little car to have. So
That's awesome. Friggin', what the hell is going on? Oh, yeah. My wife doesn't have cancer.
Dude.
That was so exciting. So exciting.
That's awesome.
Because I haven't seen you since last Friday. So
Yeah.
kind of catching up here. But
yeah.
I was so excited, dude. Oh, my God.
Yeah. I remember getting that text, man. I think I was just out and about, and I got that text, and I was just I was so happy for you guys.
So many weeks, man, just worried.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
That's all you can.
That's probably the most exciting update I have since I've seen you last Friday.
I mean, that's more exciting really than anything I got. So
it's crazy how, like, if you're not the person that has the issue, you're still going through it on a mental level, where they're physically and mentally going through it, but trying to keep everything together and it was just so stressful. There is nothing worse than having to figure out things and take care of someone and just try to get everything else done at the same time. It was it was a lot, and I'm just so happy that this friggin' chapter is closed. But what else is it? Oh, you went to class on Monday without me, right?
Yeah.
It was you worked Jesus Christ, I can't even think. It's so late at night. But yeah, so you went to class on Monday. How was it?
It's good, man. I mean, it was all a lot of movement, mobility. Did some takedowns. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely solid.
We were doing a lot of movement from side control, a lot of stuff from there. We got some submissions and a couple different ways to actually exit out of, like, you go from side to the back, like, depending on how they move. It was really good. I didn't get to. I went in on Wednesday, and then I went to Rick's on Thursday, and I got my ass handed to me by a blue belt. Just handed to me. Guy's a monster. Shout out to Ross. Right. It was so much fun. I love being on the mats, and I love the fact that I don't have to worry about my knee anymore. But one of the reasons I bring it up is because everybody always talks about getting injured, and I know your hands are extremely important to you. So what helped you get beyond the fear? Because you've gotten armbarred, you've gotten Kimura, you've had all kinds of stuff happen, but you keep going back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, a lot of people try to get into it, but when they try to get into it and they get injured, they get scared or they get turned off by it because they're more worried about losing their livelihood, and they kind of give it up or they don't go any further. What keeps you going back? Curiosity.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, I always took your advice. Like, when I first got into it, I always took your advice of, like, kill that ego and, like, tap. Like, it's not worth it. It's not worth, getting, like, I'll hang in there for a bit. I have flexible arms. I have really, like, bendy shoulders. So sometimes I'll try to see if I can wiggle my way out. Most of the time I end up wiggling myself more into the move and make it worse for myself. But just killing that ego and tapping avoids most of the injuries. And the rest of it, I mean, it's just kind of, like, look, like, I ski. I took up skateboarding again, so it's like, I like to hike challenging trails and stuff like that. You run the risk of falling off a rock and falling hard and breaking something there. Biking, I mean, I'm on the road with cars and I'm on narrow Bedford back roads where everyone's got an Escalade and a truck. Yeah. And they're trying to, you're trying not to get squished or run off the road.
So basically, anything you're doing, you're just trying to survive.
Yeah, no, I mean, realistically, in a very broad sense, yes. Yeah. I mean, I will say a lot of it is just, I mean, sometimes stuff happens. Like the reason I bring up all those other things is, like, as long as you're smart with it, but you're fine, but those things can still happen. Like, it actually happened Monday. I was rolling, and we were in that battle of I had him in side control and he was trying to sweep. So we were in that scale, that, like, teetering scale of, like, oh, is he gonna get the position on me, or am I gonna hold my ground? And my arm was out. My arm was posted. And somehow it just ended up getting, like, cranked the wrong way, and it I mean, it hurt for a couple of days after, but you just kind of deal with it. I mean, it just is what it is. like I haven't been injured nearly as bad as you have, and you haven't, like, you had a couple good ones. You've had a couple good ones.
They were all right.
But it's like most of what happens is like sometimes like the tendons in my forearms will get really bad.
Yeah.
And I'll notice that if like I'm working and my hand starts tightening up, or if I'm playing guitar or doing whatever, I'll feel it in my hands, and that's all just stretching. And I've been doing those stretches for years because of guitar, because it's those types of instruments, they're notorious for tightening up these tendons and causing tendonitis later. So I've always made it a point to stretch those out. And I'm on a computer all day. So
yeah, well, that's why I kind of bring it up. Like you're constantly, playing the guitar, playing the bass. You're on the computer. Like your hands and arms are like the most important appendages on your body. Mm-hmm. So, and that's what I was saying. Like you've been doing it for what, a little over 2 years now.
Yeah.
So it's like you keep coming back, and I there's some people out there that started doing it. But the first time they got into an armbar, they got freaked out.
Yeah.
And it was usually probably because they didn't tap or they didn't do whatever, and it being a fresh white belt, you don't know what you're doing, and that's fine. That's the way it's supposed to be. But you have to remember that the person that you're going against is, if they're not if they're not on your level as a white belt, then they're usually higher up than you, and you have to remember these guys, even though we're trying to kill each other, because that's the name of the game, is to kill each other. I make you tap, you make me tap. That's it. You could have killed me. That's why I'm tapping. Mm-hmm. That's the whole point of the game. But that person that's above you shouldn't be putting you in a position where you're going to get hurt. You know what I mean? Like that, the person on the lower end working with someone under them, especially a white belt, you as a higher belt should not be trying to break their arm. You shouldn't be trying to bust their shoulder. Like if you get the move on them, well, it's pretty, you know what I'm saying? Like it probably should have happened because they don't know what they're doing. So if you're treating a white belt like a dummy and just beating on them, then that's bad on the student, bad on the school. I feel that like a lot of our teammates understand that rule, and they, if they're working with someone under them, they're very open. They'll take you back. They'll choke you out. Mm-hmm. But if they get you into an armbar, they're going to probably fulfill the move, but not fulfill it to the point where usually when an injury happens is because the person doesn't know what's happening, and then they like go the wrong way as the person's pulling the armbar, and then you get hurt. So I love the fact that like a lot of our teammates understand that rule, and our school goes by that. And like, yeah, there's some times where things get a little out of control or someone moves a little too fast, but that's just the way the game is. And I just want to bring it. I like to bring it to attention. I've been doing it a few times past couple months, and I just want more people to understand that, yes, even though you could get severely hurt, the chances are less likely if you let go of the ego, you tap, and you just, if the person that you're working with also understands those rules. And as a higher belt, I feel like you should. And if you don't, then that's just crazy to me. Because as you get higher in the belts, it's not that you become the teacher, but you can help somebody move through something. Like I help people all the time. If they're going somewhere, I'm going to let them go somewhere until they get the deer in headlights and we stalemate, and then I'm going to move. Yeah. But I'm going to let them get a feel for it, or I'm going to let them attempt the move on me so that they can actually get a feel for it. I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit different. I still have a hard time attacking because I feel like I spend more time thinking about the defense on everything. Like if I start going somewhere or someone starts putting me in something, my first thought isn't to get out and attack. It's how am I supposed to defend this? How am I supposed to get out? And then I get out and I don't go into an attack all the time. That's where I fail. So
yeah, I mean, I think your point rings true. I mean, I learn. It's a learning environment.
Yeah.
Like, those classes are learning environments, and everyone's eager to be there. Everyone likes being there. You know, and I mean, I think there just is assumed risk. You have to accept that. I mean, you know, and you know, for someone who's like, yeah, that's definitely not a thing. I mean, before jiu-jitsu, I was doing the Muay Thai.
That's right.
And
yes.
I loved it. I will say though, in terms of hands, man, if you have a class where you're really smacking those pads, you know, and you don't do a good job wrapping your hands, like, your hands are gonna be sore.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
I was actually like,
wrists.
what? Why did you go from Muay Thai to jiu-jitsu? What was the?
I wanted to go to a class, and you were my ride at the time because I didn't have the car.
All right. Yeah.
So I didn't have much of a choice. No, but in all seriousness, no. So I was actually doing both for a while.
That's right. Yes.
And I started with Muay Thai, and then I went into the MMA classes. I wanted to see what that was about. They were normally like right after Muay Thai. Or right before, and it was, you know, back when, you know, I was only working, I think I was working part-time Hobby Lobby at the time, so I had, you know, way more time to do this kind of stuff, and so I would go to the MMA and then the Muay Thai, and man, the MMA, I was sick of getting just destroyed on the ground. Like, you know, I had no idea what I was doing, and especially like going right into no-gi, where, like, not only do you not really, like, are there less places to grab, but it's just more awkward. I never did wrestling. I never did, like, any of that, like, style of contact. And to be, like, totally honest, it was kind of awkward at first.
Well, I've done no-gi, and I still find it
just feels weird.
It's crazy. I don't know. I don't know where to grab. Like, I've learned on gi for the last 6 years, so we do no-gi every once a year or something, and I get lost. I'm like, where am I going? What am I grabbing? What am I doing? And it's just you are grabbing still, but you're like grabbing shoulder, grabbing the arm, grabbing the wrist, and where we would use the sleeve, the collar, or the belt. You know what I mean? So it's just a different type of grabbing. But I'll tell you that you go no-gi with me, well, I don't know how far we're getting, because I'm like, I'm looking for something to pull on. I want that fabric. Where's the fabric?
Yeah.
And so, well, that's cool, but
yeah, so like I was, you know, doing that, and I kept just getting destroyed on the ground, and so I talked to Rob. I think Rob was one of the people I talked to, and I think it was also Shihan. And I was like, what would jiu-jitsu, like, what's the cost of that?
Okay.
Because I'm like, what's going to get me better? And they're like, doing jiu-jitsu. Because, like, MMA, they'll sometimes have a stand-up focused. They'll sometimes, you know, they'll have different focuses for different classes. And, you know, I wasn't going to every single one. And everyone that was in that MMA class were killers. Like, so,
yeah, oh yeah.
You know, it's like, so it was, you know, struggling. You know, I'm not a big guy, and so not only having that, but also like having no foundation. They were like, okay, jiu-jitsu will give you the foundation, and so that's when I went to jiu-jitsu, and then and then I just ended up dropping to Muay Thai because I couldn't afford it at the time.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about bringing it back. You know, might as well. But we'll see.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I just because you do music, you do that stuff, and you keep coming back, and it's just so much fun. And it is. I feel like the experience at school is great, and the family's amazing.
I mean, I think the reason I stuck with jiu-jitsu is just because I it's hard to say I like it more because like Muay Thai is a lot of fun. I mean, who doesn't like punching and kicking shit? You know,
right?
It's a lot of fun. But jiu-jitsu for me, it's like it's more cerebral. Like Muay Thai was always like you get a little bit of that in the beginning, like remembering combinations and remembering, okay, like when I throw a hook, I want to pivot, on the ball of my front foot, and I want that motion to almost follow my hook to get the most amount of torque in there. And, so you get a bit of that, and then remembering combinations, and then when you're also holding pads, you have to remember the combinations in reverse. So there's definitely a lot going on, but you don't really spar that much.
Oh, okay.
In the classes themselves, they would have sparring classes on Saturday mid-morning, and for every job since my first, I always work Saturdays. Whether it was food or retail or now in an office job, I have always worked Saturdays. So Saturdays have never been good for my schedule. So I would very rarely ever go to the sparring classes. I think I went to one or two. But with jiu-jitsu, I mean, you spar every time. So and it's like the difference between moving between different partners. So like going up against like someone my size, and then going up against, someone much larger, or, even much smaller, but way more skilled. And it is really good at
that variety.
It's that variety. And you get it a little bit with Muay Thai. Like if your pad holder's a lot taller than you, you have to finagle your stuff a little weird, but it's not the same thing, remotely, and you have to shift and focus while you're physically drained, and at the same time you're also trying to attack. So it's like, that analogy of like that physical chess game. It just every time I'm on the mats, it's what it is. I mean, you really are, especially since I've tried in my game to, when I'm doing rounds, to like kind of slow it down a little bit and be more calculated with my movements, rather than just be like, go. Like, there is a time and a place to do that, I think, but I was doing it way too much. I was a fish out of water, and I was just flailing around hoping.
Well, that's what a white belt does. That's what you do. You flail around because
I still do a lot.
You don't know where you're going, what you're doing, and that's just how it works. Like, you'll eventually figure things out and get there, but if you got to do something 10,000 times and you can do it on both sides of the body, that's 20,000 different times you have to do that move on each side before you fully can understand it, and I guess before your body would just take over and you would just do the move.
Yeah.
But that's one move. There's like endless, infinite moves that can be done in jiu-jitsu, and the way people are getting more and more in, like, just figuring things out. They're getting into things like Professor was talking about it on Wednesday, how side control used to be a transitional position, and now it's an attacking position. It's got all kinds of stuff going on in it, but that's because so many people were using side control that they actually figured out, well, hey, if I'm here, I can still do this, I can still do that. So it's endless, it's infinite.
It's evolution.
It is an evolving art, and it's just going to keep evolving. But I was incorrect. It wasn't Thursday. I did get tapped out, but Wednesday, I was rolling with gentlemen that used to do MMA, and I apologize for not knowing his name, but damn it, I don't remember his name. He's only been in class to me a couple times, but he used to go down to MMA a lot. So he's a blue belt, like I feel by default, like because he didn't come to class, but he was training MMA that entire time.
Yeah.
So so I get up with him and I'm like, so you've been doing MMA, and he was injured, so he was healing and stuff, but he told me all about that, and then so we're getting into it, and it's just. It's a different animal. Yeah. I mean, the guy is just all over the place. And I will tell you this much, dude, he was barely touching my gi. It was absolutely incredible. Like, when he would like, you know how like if we do like a throw around and then we press on the person's knee and then we're coming up, so you come into side control. He was using his leg to wrap around my legs as he was coming up the side, so both hands were free. And then he's wrapping me up, and he's still keeping that foot lock, because then he just turned into a backpack and just took me to the, took my back. And I was just like, oh my God, it's just incredible the way it all works. It was so cool, and it was just such a interesting experience, because so many times he was just doing these moves and he was not pulling on my gi, and I was just like, what the hell is going on? This is blowing my mind. So I love that shit. I mean, I lost my ego years ago. I don't have it in that class anymore. There's no need of it. All it's going to do is get me hurt. So I got rid of that thing a long time ago. So I get tapped out all the time. I love it. I think every tap is just another learning experience, because half of the time when they do it, I'm like, how'd you do that? And then, like, after we're done, like, we'll go over it and he'll show me what he did. And I'm just like, I never thought of that. There's some moves that have been done to me that were so simplistic that I just never thought of, and it's always there. And if you can see it, then you can get it. And I've had that experience over and over and over again, and it's always so I guess enjoyable in a sense. I'm getting tapped out. I got to tap out. But at the same time, I'm like, I can't wait to ask them how they did that,
The thing that still always gets me is that like quick transition from a triangle into an armbar. If someone can get that like switch quick, it gets me all the time.
Yep,
all the time, because my mind is on. I'm not thinking that far ahead, and that's the whole chess element of it. Is you got to think ahead. You got to be like, okay, well, they're clearly trying to get me in a triangle right now, but I didn't realize that. I positioned my arm in a way, and I positioned my weight in a way that made it way easier for them to.
All you gotta do is extend.
Yep.
That's it. As soon as you extend the arm, if that person knows what they're doing, they're like, "Oh, I get it. Foot over. You're done." And like I also do this to myself, where I will get into a triangle, like not on purpose. The person gets the triangle on me, and I'm trying to get out of the triangle, and my stupid brain, because I don't know if this is 100% true, but I don't know how many times we've gone over getting out of a triangle. I don't remember defense on a triangle that much. So the only thing I've ever seen was on Instagram. And the guy, like, and I think I keep doing it wrong, but I think you, like, push into them, but at the same time that you're pushing in, you want to, like, pop your feet up, and then you want to put your heels into their armpits. And then once your heels are in their armpits, you can use your legs to extend backwards, and then therefore breaking the triangle. So I always try to do this, and what happens? The person just tightens up because I'm pushing into them, so I keep getting closer and closer, which makes it easier and easier for them, and then I don't get out of the triangle and I tap. But I keep trying it over and over and over again, and I'm like, one day I swear this is going to work. I don't know when, I don't know how, but
it's a fine line of that 10,000, 100,000 reps, and the whole insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Yeah,
it's like a fine line. Where
work just gets in the way. I wish there was a way to do jiu-jitsu without work, and like, I just wish there was. I wish I had more time for it.
Cloning.
Yeah, cloning. You gotten any good records lately?
Yeah, man. I
know you've been getting into those.
Yeah, dude. I've been into 90s hip hop lately. That's been
90s hip hop is where you're going now,
dude. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So I was digging around some 12-inch singles over at this record shop in Manchester. And you ever hear of Fushnikins?
No.
Bro, they are odd, but they are so good. I know you can't really play anything. You you get struck down. But they're
I don't know if I would, dude.
Yeah,
I probably would.
Who
I probably
knows?
would. YouTube has got a whole new check that your videos go through before they even get posted now. They do a whole check to make sure that you're not breaking any laws before you put it up. You're not stealing music. You're not showing any content that you're not supposed to. So there's like a small little check area that they automatically just push your video through.
Yeah.
And if there's something on there that you're not supposed to have, I haven't had it happen yet, but I'm pretty sure they kick the video back to me and I have to edit it out.
Yeah.
But that's a new thing that they started doing. So yeah, I would definitely get pulled down for it.
So yeah, I mean they are a very interesting little group. That has been my thing. I mean, I've been looking at a lot of 12-inch singles. I finally found like the second Wu-Tang album.
Oh,
so
okay.
Wu-Tang Forever. And it's funny because I mean, records are just so expensive. It's really like the dumbest way to listen to music. Like, I don't know why I collect them and listen to them. They're heavy, they're expensive. You gotta clean them all the time, especially if you're a perfectionist. I'm there with the brush, like with my phone flashlight, like getting them all off, and like just it's so dumb. But I mean, it's still so cool. Like, I kind of like it for the insanity of it, but the Wu-Tang Forever is like a $70, $60 album when you're talking vinyl, because it's 4 LPs.
Wow.
And it's a 2-hour album. So that's probably my biggest recent purchase. But yeah, I mean, I've just been collecting everything I can. If there's anything I go, it's really bad, I'll go and I'll spend $200 in a day. Yeah, it's bad.
I used to do it. It's easy.
Well, it's tough because so I go in and I have a pretty solid routine. I mean, I always check the used stuff first. I'm always in like the soul and jazz section, and then I'll try to check out hip hop, maybe some blues and stuff. I always try to look for the old ones, the really old jazz stuff. But then I end up at the new vinyls. And so these are new pressings and new artists and new.
What about that one
everything.
You were looking for that was damaged and you ended up having to do some return or something? Did you ever end up getting that record? Did you end up finding a good copy of it?
Yeah, I did. I mean, it still isn't perfect, but it's playable. I think I did get the money back from eBay. Yeah, they say we refunded you for the case. The seller never got back to me.
No, that's how that works. I told you that. I knew that. That's why
never going to get back to
that
me,
eBay
but,
guarantee, dude. That's the greatest thing they ever did, because at least you get your money back if you got a piece of shit. And,
it was.
And the seller didn't get back to you because they knew.
I mean, online. I mean, vinyl's interesting. The vinyl market's really interesting, and I look a lot into it. 'Cause like one of my dreams has always been to like have like a music store, like a record store or something. We'll see with how vinyl goes in the next decade or so how that happens. But it's an interesting industry because you have such a high demand. I mean, you have everything from people who have been collecting records their whole lives, have crazy hi-fi systems and all that stuff, and then you got hipsters that are just getting vinyl for vinyl. Like, you just have a huge demand, but people forget that like from the 90s to like the 2010s, vinyl was done pretty much. Mm-hmm. Like, they were still pressing out stuff, and you obviously had DJs, and I think DJs are the only reason vinyl records even exist today.
We were saying that back in the 2000s.
Yeah,
bro.
man. I mean, it's gotta be. Well, and the funny thing is a lot of these 12-inch singles and a lot of these records I'm going for, anytime I find them, I grab them. They're promotional copies. They're DJ copies. They say right on the label, not for sale.
Oh, okay.
Like, I want that one. I want the ones that, back in 94, back in, whenever the record was made, people couldn't get it. that's what I want to listen to now.
You know, when I sold my turntables and everything, I kind of wish, just in this moment, I wish I had kept that vinyl.
Yeah.
Yeah, just out of curiosity of what I was listening to. You know what I mean? There was a lot of history in that, and it's like, I'm not gonna, like, I probably downloaded some of them, but I don't remember everything I had in there, and I had some pretty good shit, and I just... naturalbossnh.com. That's naturalbossnh.com. I'm telling you, these guys have the best hand sanitizer I've ever used. They've also got a lip balm, a salve, a beard oil, and a foot and body soak that you need to get today. So go to naturalbossnh.com. That's naturalbossnh.com and get one or all 5 of these today. Slowdownclothing.bigcartel.com. That's slowdownclothing.bigcartel.com. These guys have some of the best high-quality products with the best quality prints on them. You need a neck gaiter, need some women's leggings, maybe a skateboard, some kids' shirts. You can get it all right here at slowdownclothing.bigcartel.com. That's slowdownclothing.bigcartel.com. Not sure how to spell it? It's right here at the bottom of the screen. New Hampshire Vape Gallery is located at 180 Lafayette Road, Seabrook, New Hampshire, down the street from Home Depot and next to Smoke Rings. We're open 7 days a week from 10:30 to 8 p.m. You can come in our store provided you wear a mask, and feel free to give us a call, 603-814-4171. You're looking for flavored juice, flavored disposables, tanks, coils, dab mats, clothing, we've got it. We've got it all in store right now at New Hampshire Vape Gallery. And again, we are located at 180 Lafayette Road, Seabrook, New Hampshire, down the street from Home Depot and next to Smoke Rings. We're open 7 days a week from 10:30 to 8 p.m. You can give us a call, 603-814-4171, and I look forward to seeing you there. And now, back to the show. I miss playing vinyl. That was fun. It was a fun time.
It's definitely an experience. I mean, I started collecting Beatles vinyl. That was my big thing. And then I actually stopped collecting vinyl. I collected tapes.
What?
Yeah, dude. So both my first.
Oh yeah, man. Dude, I'm confused now. Why
yeah,
are you
dude.
collecting tapes?
I was rocking around in my first car that had a tape deck, and I was playing my mom's mixtapes from the 80s. With the convertible top down and everything.
And so you decided to buy tapes? Was it because you missed rewinding things with a
pencil?
No.
I only had to do that a couple times.
Oh, that's the worst.
I don't know. It was in my car. I had the little tape with the aux cord coming out that I would plug my phone into, but like that time I was super into the 80s. Like high school was like my 80s phase, so I was huge into that. And I don't know, I was something about tapes. I think it was similar to what I like with vinyl. For some reason, I just liked it.
Interesting.
And I went out, and I mean, I have every single Van Halen record ever recorded on tape, on a cassette tape somewhere downstairs in my house. I got, some of my mom's old mixtapes, got a bunch of 80s stuff from that. So I was super into that, and I was collecting 80s vinyl for a bit too. And then I stopped, and I didn't really pick it up until I got back into hip-hop. Or I should say really into hip-hop, because I wasn't, I mean, I've told you about it before. You've kicked me out of your house for being a music snob. I was awful with it, and it was when I started, getting into jazz and getting into soul and funk and by extension hip hop, like that just that small family of genres, they're all relatives of each other. And so you start listening to, like, you listen to a lot of hip hop and you hear jazz, you hear funk, you hear blues, you hear all that, and then just all those genres can kind of bounce off each other. And once I got into that was when I started collecting records again. I wanted, all the, I wanted the Nas, I wanted Wu-Tang, I wanted Tribe Called Quest, I wanted, some modern artists like Kendrick Lamar, like guys like that. But then, I mean, you're in a record store, you're just surrounded by music, and you're just surrounded by all these different artists, and it's like I'll end up at the front, and I'll have, everything from like a 50s Dizzy Gillespie, Charlie Parker record to, an album that came out last year, and everything in between. Like it's just all of it. I just want all of it. It's bad. I'm running out of storage space really quick. I really am. But it's fascinating. It's been cool learning about turntables from you because
yeah.
Like I was just I was just using Crossleys, man. I was going to Target and I was buying the $100 record player they had at the store, and I was using that, and I didn't really understand.
But in your defense, you are just listening to the record.
I am.
You're not DJing. So
You're right, but when I got my first real hi-fi turntable, and I take it out of the box, and there's 6 parts, and they're like, you have to put this together. And I'm like, what? No, you just take it out of the box, you plug it in, and you go. And they're like, no, you have to adjust in the counterweight and doing all that stuff. And yeah, it was, but it was cool, and it's nice to know that my tracking force isn't destroying my records anymore. Because those cheap Chinese-made turntables, they don't have adjustable counterweights.
Right.
And their tracking force is set really high because they don't want it to skip. So if they don't want it to skip and they don't want to give consumers the ability to mess with it, they're just going to make it a little higher.
Yeah, it was I had full control over that on the techniques and stuff. I really do miss DJing. Attempting to DJ.
Yeah.
I don't think I was ever a DJ. I probably did in my mind, but...
Well, and it's so interesting to me because, because I mess around with DJing, but it's modern DJing. I have, basically a USB controller, and I'm matching waveforms up on a screen, and it's I think, just by playing my records, I think about, what it would be like to spin on actual vinyl, keeping track of your collection, and having a routine live, and who's pulling the records, and
it was heavy.
You gotta lug all of it around.
It's super heavy to lug around.
The mixers, the tables themselves, and it's unless you had house equipment or something like that. But
I had to build a coffin,
and even that, I mean, you're talking what's always killed me, and I've got I've pieced together bits of it by myself just by watching live sets, and you have the bright tape, where you throw the needle and everything, but it still just blows my mind. Obviously you got the greats Dre and Grandmaster Flash and guys like that, but even just anyone who could just do that. I have huge respect for.
I knew all my crates.
You just had a vast knowledge of your music collection.
Every record, I knew exactly what it was. I had small indicators on all the things, so I knew exactly where was what, and I knew exactly who was where, and everybody went into a specific spot, and depending on what color it was is when I would play it. If it was it's just all kinds of different things. Then you would do the tape, so you knew where you could scratch, where your beats would line up, your BPMs, all that shit, and try to line it up on the tables. But yeah, I was never very good. But it was so much fun. It was real fun. But today you got those digital things. You got that. What's that program you use all the time? Ableton. That thing's amazing.
That's more for production. A lot of people do. So Ableton's kind of interesting because Ableton's more of an instrument in ways than it is a production software. I thought it
was the tool that you use to mix and do beats and stuff.
You absolutely can, and a lot of people do, but a lot of people also look at Ableton. They do their production in something else, and then they just import the audio files into Ableton because you can set everything
I understand.
up. You set everything up in a grid, and
So you record your track, then move it over there, clean it up.
Gotcha. and
Okay.
arrange it into like a live set.
Okay.
I just do all my production out of Ableton because I like the interface.
I got you.
But DJing, it's, I mean, you know, I just have like a USB controller and a software on my computer, but what you can do with that software, because Pioneer makes it, I think it's called Record
So does
Box.
it look like you have like two mixers on the thing? You can put a track here, and you can play with it. But
yeah, well, I got the DJ controller,
you have the
so like you have and it's set up to.
I love those.
It's not 1-to-1, but it's set up to mimic the controls of a CDJ. So like if you hop from this controller into a CDJ at like for some house systems or something, club systems, you know, it won't be as jarring as if you go from like an off-brand DJ controller and then you pull your tracks up, because then now all you got to do is throw your USB drive in there and it has all your songs, and then you can pull everything into Record Box and you can set all your cue points ahead of time, export that data to the USB drive. It's all Pioneer, so when you plug that USB drive into those CDJs, all your cue points that you set on the computer are on your CDJs. So when you rehearse your set, you can make it, you know, 1-to-1 with your rehearsal, or you can have fun with it. I mean, you know, some people, you know, they just have their DJ set on autoplay. They just set it up in a way where, like, they just press play once and everything mixes for them. I'm not crazy about that. Those are for, like a lot of, well, because some DJs, what they'll do is they'll focus more on crowd work than actual spinning.
But you can see, you can literally just plug it and play and have it and just click a button and it's like match up. And
automation's powerful, my friend.
That is amazing.
You just have it.
Oh my God.
Have it completely engineered. You engineer it like you do a light show. You know?
Wow. Yeah, there was nothing like that.
No.
Holy shit, that's incredible. Yeah. Like where we are today with the technology compared to where I was, that's insane.
It's overwhelming because it's like
I always wished I could do that. Like with the you wish you could just like get it, because even though you could set your BPMs and try, you were still playing with the center of the record, slowing it down. You're sliding the sides. You're still speeding it up, slowing it down. I struggled with it. I'll be honest.
You'll love it. Most DJ softwares have one button for that, and it's called the sync button. And you just press sync, and it automatically syncs both your tracks up.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So,
wow.
It's you know, and it's just it's overwhelming though, a lot of the time, because you almost have too much at your disposal. So like when you're playing an instrument, when you're playing a piano, like just a straight up, you know, grand piano, you have 88 keys. Maybe it's a little more or less for standard, but anyways, you have that many keys. That's your limitations of that instrument. Mm-hmm. You have a few controls at the bottom where you can set sustain or make the notes cut quick or something like that. But you have limitations. Your limitations are those 88 notes and your 10 fingers. You get into music production software and you have every single studio tool under the sun at your disposal. And there's at least 5 or 6 ways to do one thing, and none of them are wrong.
What?
Yeah, I mean, you might like mess them up a little bit, but like side chaining, for example.
What's that?
So like side chaining is when you think of everything as like a frequency spectrum.
Okay.
And so lower frequencies are on the lower end of the frequency spectrum. So between like your 20 and 40. So if you have a kick drum at 40 hertz and your sub bass is at 40 hertz, the sound spectrum can only take so much input. So what'll happen is you want your kick to be punchy. You like house music. When the kick's not punchy, the track falls apart.
Right.
So what happens sometimes if you get really deep basses is that bass frequency will conflict with the kick. So the side chain, what it does is it basically, as the kick is playing, the bass signal is being compressed just a little bit in the beginning to make room for the kick. So if you just listen to the bass, it'll almost sound like it's moving along with the kick, and then when you throw the kick on, you'll hear it in full again. So it's almost like a ducking method. So you're ducking the bass to make room for the kick, so it still has that punch. And to do that, there's like 5 different ways to do it. You can throw on a compressor. You can make a whole nother channel where you're sending dummy notes. I'm kind of going a little off, but my point is that it's much harder to set limitations for yourself than limitations that are given to you by hardware. So it's like if I'm having an issue with a compressor and a compression, I'm really struggling to like get the settings, and I get to a point where I'm like, you know what, forget it, I'm just going to drag in another compressor. Sometimes that'll work, but in other situations that can be more complicated. Versus if you're in like a legit recording studio, you have that hardware compressor, and you need to make that hardware compressor work.
Now, what are you compressing? Are you compressing?
Compressing the audio, yeah. Compression,
the audio itself.
Yeah, it's just a volume control tool, basically. It's mainly used in mixing, and it just helps like make it really tight. So like if you have like a uncompressed drum loop, and you compress it, it'll get a little punchier.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
No, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's there's just so much at your disposal, and it's hard. And when you don't have limitations, and you can and then you also have a thriving market of companies that want to sell you hundreds of dollars in software, and it's great software. It's awesome. You'll probably get a lot of use out of it. But do you need it? It's hard to say no when you just plug in your credit card info, you get a download, then you get to play with it, immediately later and mess around with it and see how you can incorporate it into your songs. Like Black Friday is dangerous, because they throw so many sales at you, and it's great software. But you also have to set limitations, and you also have to and it just takes years, and that's why I say it's a lot like an instrument, and not only Ableton, any production software. It's interesting because it takes.
What was the one?
Years.
What was the one I downloaded? I can't remember the name. Tracton or something like that. That was
Traction. One. Yeah, the one. Yeah, most.
That was the one I showed you.
Most audio.
I've never used it.
Yeah,
I've only used Audacity.
Yeah, that one seemed a little strange.
I'm not doing any music.
Yeah, I mean every audio interface will come with some version of that. They all make their own DAWs, but at the end of the day, I mean it's really the big 3. It's like FL Studio, Ableton, and Logic. Unless you're talking like professional, then you're talking Pro Tools, which is like the golden standard, but is way too expensive for me. Ableton was honestly too. It's not that it's too expensive, because when you see how much you get, it's worth it.
Yeah, it's a massive program.
But yeah, I remember I thought like guitar pedals and amps and guitars were expensive, and then I got into the world of software instruments and software effects and music production softwares, and yeah, it's nothing compared to that world. And you have there's some that composers for movies will use, like orchestral strings and orchestral brass and stuff like that, where these companies sent teams of people to a concert hall and paid these musicians to sample the instruments in that setting, and they're putting that in the instrument. They're emulating it in the instrument, and those can cost, I think, what's the big one? I can't remember the name of it, but there's like an industry standard of like film orchestral strings, and it's like $2,500.
Holy
wild
shit!
A piece of software.
Software.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Wild.
Holy shit.
Wild.
I was looking at film editing, and it was like a couple $100. That's nothing compared to that. What?
Oh man.
Holy shit. Well, software is pretty expensive in general. Software is always pretty expensive. I mean, what did I pay for, like, Windows 8 or Windows 10 at the time? I had to buy it. Shit was like $700-800. You're like...
And then you have, like, Word, PowerPoint, and Excel.
No, you gotta buy those.
No, you gotta buy those separately.
Yeah.
But that's like... It's,
software is so ridiculous.
Now they're trying to make it look like you're saving money by being like, oh, pay for Microsoft Office monthly, or...
okay.
Take this one.
Yeah, everybody's got a monthly now. Get our subscription.
Like, no,
subscribe.
Just stop.
Well, it's like it seems
full.
to be the norm now, because
Yeah.
I've grown so used to subscriptions, because everybody, in order to stream now, you have to pay the monthly subscription. You have to sign on. You got to get the thing, because if you want to watch this one particular thing, it's only on this streaming program.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think it's almost getting built into us, where you're just used to subscribing to shit now. I mean, my BJ's friggin' shopping card, that's a yearly. Amazon's a yearly. You got the books, you got all the TV shows. Everybody's on a different platform, and now everybody's buying out certain ones so they can only play those on those ones. So now you got to get them. Then they do bundles. And then, what was it? Verizon just did they just finally did a family plan for their premium package. So it was like $14.99, and I was the only one using it. And then my wife could sign in on mine and watch without commercials if she wanted to. But now it's $17.99 a month. And they just said, hey, you can have up to 4 people under your plan. And I was like, oh, my God, this is amazing. And I've had it for 3-4 years now. And they just did this. I was like, why didn't you do this so long? Like, I've always wanted that option. They just did it like 2 days ago. I was like, oh, finally, this is great. Because, like, she's basically logged into mine, but she can log into hers, and now she doesn't have commercials. She doesn't have anything on YouTube. And it was just
nice.
And it was just annoying that I'm paying $14.99 a month just for myself. If she wanted it, it was another $14.99. And
that's dumb.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
Well, and now they're like, I just saw the headline in passing, but apparently Netflix is trying to like crack down on people sharing passwords and shit.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They're like, they've been doing that for years. Like I think actually it was when Netflix was like first around. I was using my buddy's password,
but years ago there was a lot of people not having it.
I still got hit though.
Oh, you did.
I got
hit.
pulled. Yeah. So I think I know why they figured it out. So,
you weren't using VPN?
Oh, well, I definitely wasn't using VPN on an Xbox 360. That's for sure. That's for sure. That thing didn't even have a web browser, bro. You can't run no VPN
shit.
off that.
You gotta have a VPN.
So I was using the Xbox 360,
right.
And it had a Netflix app, and my buddy and I were watching Netflix, and he gave me the or he was over in my house, and he gave me the password to do on my Xbox. He's like, you can stay logged in. We'll just create another profile for you so you can watch whatever you want, and we're good. And one day I log in, and it's like, I don't remember. I mean, we're talking like sophomore, junior year of high school, so like a long time ago for me. And yeah, the message was something like, yeah, we know what you're doing. Stop. We're removing your access to this account. Because I think because they were both on 360s.
Oh.
and we were both watching at the same time, and they can pull the IP address and see exactly where we are. So,
that is very true.
So that's where my mind immediately goes. But yeah, I mean they've been trying to do that for years. There's no way they're gonna crack down on it. Like it's just there's just too many people. There's just too many things going on.
UFC. There, Dana White was going, telling everybody if you stream it, and we're gonna catch you, and we're gonna get you to the fullest extent of the law. I don't think anything ever happened beyond that.
Yeah.
I didn't hear of anybody getting arrested for it. People still do it.
Some people do get hit hard with it.
I'm not saying people don't get caught.
Definitely
I'm not
get
saying
caught,
that at
but
all.
it's like
I'm just saying that it's going to happen. Like you can't really stop it.
And that's what kills me.
I haven't done it in years.
Well, and that was one of the things that people said with the whole new movies coming out on streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm a huge Marvel fan, and the Black Widow solo movie was supposed to come out May of 2020. Obviously, it got delayed, and it was originally delayed till May of this year.
Okay.
They extended a full year because they wanted it in theaters.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Warner Brothers and Amazon's even doing it with some movies where you pay $20 to rent it. That's what you'd pay at a movie theater. But a lot of companies were arguing, oh, well, it's going to create more piracy and da 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 da. And it's yeah, but everything's already pirated.
Everything's
already pirated. Everything, and on top of that, everything fucking leaks. So many movies, especially in the superhero and superhero and Star Wars. It's super common with Star Wars too. Stuff leaks. People know the story before it even comes out. People know everything before it comes out. So it's just gonna happen. But don't make me go out to a movie. I hate movie theaters in the first place. I used to really like them, and there was one moment I realized I didn't. And I went to see the Captain Marvel movie 2 months after it came out. So no one gave a shit about it anymore. And I get in there, and I'm there I was working a weird schedule, so I got to get there Tuesday at 10 in the morning when it opened. It's nobody's in the theater. Literally no one was in the theater. It was the only time I was in a movie theater where I was the only person in the entire theater. And after I got out and I realized that was my best movie theater experience, I'm like, you know what? The big screen's nice, the sound system's nice, but movie theaters really aren't for me. I'd rather just chill in my room and watch it there. And then, yeah.
See, I had good. I want to go to the bigger ones that they have at Jordan's. The what is that?
Those are all closed.
I know they are.
Yeah.
I know. Are they closed permanently?
To my knowledge, at least the one in Hooksett. I don't know, but I was under the impression
there was one.
Every single IMAX is gone.
I don't think it's in Peabody, but it was as I was going to Peabody. There's one, but maybe it's gone now. But those bigger theaters, the bigger ones, I wanted to go to one of those. I think I've been to one once or twice, but I had the funnest experience at a theater and then never had it again when I was a teenager. And it was at that movie theater that is now a casino in Manchester. The one that turned into a bingo casino.
Oh,
over,
the one
over by where they just put in the what's that fucking
DraftKings.
Yeah. Right there. You remember when that was? Do you remember? You don't remember when it was a theater?
No.
Thank you.
I also didn't live around the area.
We didn't live here. We lived Derry, but we would come here.
I see what you're saying.
And my friend's friend ran it, so we would get special showings of shit that was hitting the theater.
Nice.
And I don't remember what movie it was because that wasn't the important part of the story to me. The important part of the story was we were in the theater sitting there passing bongs and joints, and there was alcohol everywhere, and everybody's just eating, and we're just all smoking and eating in the theater. And I will be honest, I have no fucking idea what I watched, but it was such a fucking fun time. I was so fucked up by the time I left there. It was great. It was just so fun. We did it a couple times before we didn't anymore, but that was probably the funnest time in a theater I've ever had. And I don't know. I have to agree with you. When it comes to watching a movie, I would just wait till it came out, and watch it at home. I'm kind of the same way. I'm not like, it's not something that like captures my interest as much anymore.
I mean, it depends on the movie. I mean, especially like being a Marvel fan, the release, like if you were there on opening night, like I never went because I didn't want to be around that many people, but like my sister went to see a bunch of them opening night, and like when you're watching the movie for the first time and you're like, whoa, like your reaction a lot of times is everybody's reaction. And so when you have a packed theater opening night, everyone's hyped up to see the movie, and it's a really good movie. And
it's like when everybody laughs together.
Like, it's like so.
Cheer.
There is a type of energy to it that you miss. But I don't care. I want to be comfy in my house. I want it maybe it's just because like now I have a really nice TV. Like I have one of those like 4K TVs, and before, I mean, I had a 36-inch 720 for at least a decade, and that was my only TV. Amazingly, a Chinese-made TV lasted me a decade.
Yeah. They last.
Hey,
but I had this when I lived in Merrimack.
Yeah.
In London Court.
I mean, some stuff is built good, but
that TV
a lot of it's planned obsolescence.
Shit, when did I live there? You guys, 2000. Oh boy. Yeah. So this TV's like friggin' 10, 11, 12 years old. I think it's 12.
Wish they'd do it for our phones.
Oh, no way, dude. As soon as your phone is almost paid off is when your phone gets it's so stupid.
It's all planned.
My phone is completely jacked, and it's almost paid off. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. My wife's phone, I think it made it probably about 6 months past getting paid off, and it just like started crapping the bed. I think I told you it died and it wouldn't turn back on. Well, I got it to charge. I got it to turn back on. And then I made sure the battery was charged, put it in the bag, and sent it back to him so it'll turn on when it gets there. And if they have any problems with the charging port, I already told them. And we should be able to get some money for that bitch. And I was like, yes, because when it wouldn't turn on, it was worthless. I was like, oh, man. And now we're going to use that money to pay off my phone because my phone's got a couple payments left. And then I'm going to upgrade to the Pixel 5. And just get that, and then give them back my 3 and get the $100 or whatever it is for it, and then I'll just be upgraded. Because my phone's like, there's no memory left. I'm like, what do you mean there's no memory left? And I just keep going through, and it's like as the apps keep updating, and I keep taking videos and pictures and all this other bullshit I keep doing, it's like, you're full. And I'm so lazy that I'm not plugging it in and dumping it and getting rid of them, so the phone's just like screaming. It's like I don't have anywhere to put anything anymore. Same reason my computer is almost full of I almost have a full hard drive on that too.
Yeah,
it's just so time
data
consuming.
storage is just
it's a time consuming challenge.
It's the worst.
Never mind the fact that I found an internal and an external. And it's going to be like 3 for both. And I'm like, all right, maybe I'll hold off on that for a moment.
Yeah, it's such a pain, and it's just like you really have no option.
Yeah, well,
if you care at all about any personal data or personal files that like you have on a computer, if you even care a little bit about it, you need to have it backed up in 3 places or it doesn't exist.
Yes.
And it's so interesting because in so many ways, technology has gone crazy. But in so many ways, it's still archaic and stupid. All the time, my IT department, or like with IT departments in general, it's like, what are most of their solutions? Turn it off and turn it back on again.
Yes. Well, that's the number one
the fact
solution.
that still works, how much more advanced can it be? Yeah, we've made everything faster. We've also made everything look a lot cooler. And we've also been able to make everything smaller while at the same time making the screens bigger.
But sometimes at the end of the
But
day,
at the end of the day, the same troubleshooting they were doing back in the 90s they're doing now. They're like, yeah, just turn it off and turn it back on again. The only difference is we're not using floppy disks anymore.
Oh, I remember using those. Man.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy where the technology has gone today. Like just doing this right now is crazy. It's so wild to me.
It's
so wild, and it brings me back to all the equipment and the software prices. It's like anything that you want to do is going to cost money. All this,
no way around it.
All of it costs money. I mean, there's no way around it. If you want good equipment, you have to pay for it. Yeah. But that software, sometimes I feel like they're just killing you with those prices.
Yeah, it's.
But you have artists work on it, and they're famous, and then that puts the price tag on it. Plus, you're like buying their music in a sense.
And another thing too is like a lot of these companies, it's not like they release the software and then they're done with it. They're releasing patches. They, are getting the compatibility packs from Windows and Apple for the new OS that's coming out. So they can make sure their software works with the new operating system. So you have to have testers for that, and you have to have bug testers, and you have to have people that can go in and mess with all that stuff. So it's like I kind of try to think about it on a smaller scale, like app development. I would have no idea how to develop an app. No clue whatsoever, unless some company made like an app version of Squarespace. No way am I programming an app. I mean, a type of software is like a bigger brother to that. It's a lot of information, and it's just I couldn't do it. So, but you have to have these teams of people that can make sure everything works and everything runs smoothly. Some companies do it a lot better than others. But, there's always updates coming out.
Oh, constantly.
So it's like, it's the way that everybody's working on stuff now. It's like, it just is what it is. You can either, because you're still stuck in a rock and a hard place, you either pay for it or you find something free.
Yeah.
And try to make it work. Those are your options. And that rarely works. So.
Yep. How long have we been going? Hour and 13 minutes. It's not bad, brother.
Not bad at all.
All right. We can call it if you want.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Right on.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, my number is kicked in, and I'm hoping that you all enjoyed this conversation between Tyler and I. Again, you can follow Tyler on Twitter and Instagram. That's at Tyler_Crain for Twitter and Gridlink Music for Instagram. Remember again to subscribe, hit those like buttons, set those alarms. Follow me on all social media. That's Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, and Facebook. And, of course, you can always email me at talkin with@gmail.com. And I hope everybody has a great 420. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you later. Happy 420.